welcome everyone. It's nice to see that we can draw a good group even when we are not unveiling a portrait. This is the fourth of our sixth in the Centennial series, which traverses the history of the law school from its establishment as part of Marquette University in 1908 up till the present day. And our colleague, Professor Gordon Hilton, has put this program together. And for those of you who have not been able to make it to the first several programs, as with this one, we record them and they are available on the internet. And I think that you will find there, just as you will today, some really interesting information and stories about the history of the law school. I simply want to welcome our panelists and exceedingly briefly to introduce them. The focus is on the history of the law school, and I want to stand down rather quickly in terms of my introductory remarks. But I do want to thank all of them for being with us. I'm going to go in chronological order in terms of age of graduation. We have Jack Kircher of our faculty, who is a member of the law school class of 1963. We have Mike Zimmer, now of Loyola University Chicago's law faculty, who is a member of the law school class of 1967. And we have our retired colleague, Chuck Clausen, of the class of 1970. These individuals, in addition, of course, to Gordon Hilton, these individuals have two things in common. Whether they will distort their perceptions of the law school, I don't know. One is they were all exceedingly fine students at the law school. I don't know that Gordon intended it that way, in the sense that he was going to put forth people who had accomplished, especially academically here, but it is an inevitability when you gather this group of three people. I'm familiar with all the records. The other thing that they have in common, although they may not know it, is that they're all from the South Side. Mike Zimmer is from the South Side of Milwaukee. Jack Kircher is from the South Side of Milwaukee. And Chuck Clausen, I'm going to disappoint you on this one, David, is from the South Side of Chicago. So I doubt that will have much of an influence on their perception of the law school, but like the rest of you, I'm going to find out. So Mike and Jack and Chuck, in addition to Gordon, thank you very much for doing this. This has been a wonderful series, and I look forward to today's instance.
Well, again, I'd like to welcome you all. It comes probably as no surprise to anyone that the 1960s were a turbulent decade at the Marquette Law School. It seems only fitting, since they were among the most turbulent, that was among the most turbulent decade in American history. By happy coincidence, our three principal speakers today attended law school here in 9 of those 10 years. None of our three speakers all attended within the 1960s, but none attended while any of the others were present, which I guess gives one some leeway to tell stories. I just want to make a couple of introductory remarks. I mean, the pattern of these latter panels is to invite back people who were students at the law school during the periods that we're looking at, but also who went on to careers in legal education, giving them an opportunity not just to remember what happened when they were law students, but also to sort of reflect back on the significance. In going through the records of the law school, I've been just struck by how much was going on here at the law school. Some controversial. There was a somewhat controversial dean change in the middle of the decade. There also, something I'd never heard of until recently, that the Marquette Law School used to have an institute for the study of poverty in the law, which was created with money from Lyndon Johnson's War on Poverty, and for which the law school brought Ray Klitsky, here in the front row, up from Texas to run that program. And when the money ran out, Ray sort of reverted to his other career as an intellectual property lawyer and teacher. So we're going to, the three speakers will speak in the order in which they attended law school, and we'll hopefully have time for questions after the three presentations. So, Jack?
Thank you. Interestingly, one of the things that struck me in preparing for this, I started looking through some of the old law school bulletins, was looking at the campus map in 1963 compared to the map now. At that particular, well, now we've got about 71 buildings, and the campus stretches from 11th Street to about 19th, if you want to count Straz as being another addition. But back in the day, as they say, there were only 3 Marquette buildings north of Wisconsin Avenue when I started law school here, and they were all residence halls. Schrader Hall, which is still standing, and O'Donnell Hall down on about 18th between Wisconsin and Wells, and then a little thing on next to Schrader called Spalding Hall. But the campus essentially ran on the south side of Wisconsin Avenue from 11th to 16th Street. If you looked at the buildings, essentially the campus stopped 4 buildings down at what we used to call the Science Building, which is now Marquette Hall, and there was not another Marquette building on the avenue until the library. All of the streets except 12th Street ran south to Clybourne from Wisconsin Avenue, so we had coal trucks and various other things running through the campus during the day. Across the street from us, what is now Carpenter Tower over in the corner there was the Catholic Knights Insurance Building. The new building is on 11th and Wells. The Old Line Life Insurance Building right across the street. One building down, which is now Cobean Hall, was the LaSalle Hotel, which I understand, not by personal knowledge, but by hearsay, that the ladies of the evening used to populate. There was a sportsman's bar down in the corner of 11th and Wells, which was a hangout for law students. A thing I dearly miss that used to be on the avenue that is now gone right next to Old Line Life was a little popcorn wagon. Spizer's popcorn. You get hot buttered popcorn on your way home at night. It was a very, very wonderful blend of popcorn. Cork and Gates garage and filling station on the corner of 12th and Wisconsin. The green area now this side of the Al McGuire Center. And the various other commercial buildings down the street. Interestingly enough, 1492 West Wisconsin Avenue, which was an old beer baron's home, I think at one particular point in time, was when I was a student here, the headquarters of the Knights of Columbus. But again, the campus has changed substantially. Just looking at the southern part of the campus back in '63, it was a mixture not only of Marquette buildings, but also of residences, commercial buildings, various other things that existed. The speech school was in an old home that somebody had donated to the university. That was on 15th south of Wisconsin Avenue. The journalism school was on Michigan, Michigan, where the Arts Center is now. So the campus was completely different. The law school at the time, we are sitting in what was the reading room of the library. The Wisconsin reports were in this room, I think some decennial digest, things of that sort. Across the hall were the stacks, 2 floors of stacks with a circular staircase to get to the second level. Of course, in 1963, there were a lot fewer law books than there are now. The Wisconsin Reporter at the time, I think, was only up to volume 21 of the Wisconsin Second Series, and Wisconsin Reporter started in 1838. Since then, we're now at what, 309 Wisconsin Second? Of course, way back when Shirley Abrahamson wasn't on the Supreme Court to write those lengthy opinions that she's writing now. So this floor had the only ladies' room in the building. So the women that were attending law school, and there weren't all that many, had to climb the stairs. The second floor below where we are now was a large classroom. What rooms 204 and 210 now used to be called Room C. And another thing that existed in '63 that we don't have now that I reminisced about a little bit is when I started law school, Marquette had a football team. They were not the Warriors, they were the Hilltop